Hello everybody and welcome to the group personal pension demonstration today. Today's webinar session will be covering off how to add a group personal pension onto the Officeweb system, and also how to find the guidelines surrounding GPPs. So the first point that I'd like to make or where to direct you to is the group personal pension guidance available on the intrinsic extranet. It's available under the AQ Guidance and Processes tab along the left-hand side, and then under Corporate Business. It's on to Auto-Enrollment and GPP, and then along to GPP Existing Schemes. And just to confirm, if you are actively servicing an existing scheme or have any contact with an employer, you must hold an auto-enrollment license to be able to offer this type of advice. Holding the auto-enrollment license means that you need to have completed the auto-enrollment training event, and also you will need to complete the test following the training event. So if you're unsure whether you hold the license or you want to know further more about that, please contact the advisor support team in the usual way, and we can provide you with some further guidance. If your arrangement with the employer is to provide them with employee benefits summary, a direct letter offer, to give to new employees, this document must be approved by the compliance team on an annual basis. A template copy of this can be found on the extranet under the document store, and I will show you in a moment where you can find that. So today we're going to cover off 3 different options with regards to GPPs and loading them onto the system. First of all, we've got the private client. So if you have been requested to provide advice to an employee as an individual, you must treat the employee as a private client. Okay? This is irrespective of who is paying for the advice. For example, the employer could remunerate you directly as part of your contract to advise their employees, or you could be charging the employee directly for your advice. Either way, the fee that they're paying can't be deducted from the recommendation or the recommended scheme fund. So you must complete a private client fact find, ATR, workbench sales process, and follow the full financial planning process when giving an individual employee individual advice. Okay, so that would just be treated as usual workbench sales process. Following on from that, if you do have a new corporate scheme that you're setting up, this can be set up in Officeweb. What you would need to do is add a manual sales process. You would then upload all the required documentation and set your fee and expectation as required. And following on from your scheme, once you set that up, if you do have additional scheme members that join the scheme at a later date, you would also add those members to the scheme via Officeweb. And what you would do is you would just set that up as a private client, and again you would set a manual sales process and set the fee expectation. So what we'll be going through today is showing you those 2 options, adding the new scheme, the corporate scheme, to Officeweb, and then adding new members. I'm just going to take you through to the gateway system and show you how you can access Officeweb first of all. You cannot access this directly from the Commission or Fee Administration tab on the gateway, but you can also access that directly from your desktop. You should have a browser, an icon on your desktop that's called Officeweb Browser, and that will take you directly through to Officeweb. So I've already got the system open. It is actually a training system that we're using today. And what we're going to do first of all is upload the corporate case to the system. So what we need to do first of all is search for the client. And hit the search icon. And as we can see, there's no client with this name on the system already. So we can now click on New Client on the left-hand side. And as this is going to be the corporate submission, the original GPP scheme, we're going to select this as a corporate client. We then click on OK. And we're brought through to the client's details. So we need to complete anything that's highlighted in yellow, which is mandatory, but we would also recommend that you complete as much information as possible. So I'm just going to go through and complete the mandatory information today. I pop in the client, the company name, I'll move on to the client details. And then to admin details, confirm the status of the client, which we're going to mark as current. And there's nothing on the admin details 2 tab that we need to complete. So we're going to just click save. And this defaults us through to the sales process screen. Now what we need to do is create a manual sales process to link to that corporate client. Which you can do so by clicking the manual SP box at the bottom of the screen here. And again, we just confirm the details are correct and hit save at the bottom. And as we can see, that's created the manual sales process. It'll show us today's date and the client name, and also that the sales process itself has been created manually at the end. If you do, for whatever reason, need to cancel this or remove it from the system, you can simply highlight the sales process and click on NPW at the bottom here. Also, once we're finished, you can click on the completed button, and that will change the status here from open to completed. So once we've created the sales process itself, we then simply upload any documentation that we need to. We click on the Documents tab, and as you can see, it's created the sales process with today's date, and it's created the folder therefore is ready to upload all the documentation. So we simply click on the Add icon at the bottom, and you would add your documents in the usual way as you do for your other cases. So you browse, and then find the document from your local files, click on Open, and then Upload. So we're just going to leave the document section for today, as this is a test system and a test client. So once you're happy all your documentation has been uploaded, you just simply click on the Fees tab, again on the left-hand side, and we would set the fee that we're receiving for this advice. So once we've selected fees, we're then given the option to click on New Fee, and we're taken through to the fee template in the same way as you normally are. Now we have to pop in today's date for the fee invoice date. It won't let you backdate this. And the reason for fee will be the recommendation initial. And the advice area will be pension and annuity. And we'll say, just as an example, the fee for this particular recommendation was £500. And we'll pop in that that's VAT exempt. And just moving over to the right-hand side, just making sure all the mandatory fields in yellow are highlighted are completed. The type of advice will say initial one-off, and it's independent advice, and the charge is going to be a fixed amount. Is the client's contact paying? That's important. You select yes, and that they'll be paying directly for the fee rather than through the provider. And once we're happy that everything is complete, we can then click on Save. Okay, and as you can see, the fee has then been set up in the system. What we've done there is we've set a manual sales process, we've uploaded the documentation required for the case, and then we've set the fee. That is all that would be required to set up the original corporate case in Officeweb. And again, once you're finished, you can go back to the Sales Process tab, highlight the case, and you can mark that as completed. That then changes the status to bronze all there and marks that as completed. So as we mentioned earlier, we'll also show you how you can add new joiners to that scheme. Once the scheme has been set up, you would simply click on Client Search, and as this is going to be an individual, we'll pop in the individual's name. And again, just search for the client. As we're using a brand new client, it's not one of these ones that's shown up in the search results. We'll just click on the New Client tab again. Okay, and this time, rather than selecting corporate client, we're going to select private client, and then hit OK at the bottom. And again, you just enter in the information that's highlighted in yellow as mandatory. And move across the tabs at the top of the page. The status we'll put down as current, and the ID verification we'll put as electronic ID. And we'll hit save at the bottom. Now we don't need to complete a sales process for this section of the system as we've already completed the sales process. So what we would do is we simply click on the Documents section. As you can see, it's created the client name, and we could then simply click on Add and create a new folder. And then hit OK. And that then creates a new folder for us to upload any relevant documentation. You then just add in the usual way at the bottom and search your local files to find the documents that you need. Again, you just click on Upload, and that uploads the documents to that particular file. And if you're receiving an additional fee for the new joiner, again, you would just pop your fees in by selecting the Fees tab on the left-hand side here. Selecting New Fee, and then again entering the fee information. And when we're happy that we've completed everything, you can just click Save at the bottom. Okay, so that's the documents and the fees set up for the new joiner. And that's all you'd be required to complete for any new joiners for an existing scheme. So that's the end of the Officeweb presentation. So just to show you again where you can find the information on the extranet. Everything is stored in the document store. Alternatively, to find the guidelines, it's under AQ Guidance and Processes, down to Corporate Business, Auto Enrollment and GPP, and then along to GPP Existing Schemes. If you need to find the template letter I mentioned earlier, that will be within the document store, along the left-hand side and down to the bottom. And if we scroll down the page, there is a section named Corporate Business, and as you can see, it's got the GPP Scheme Benefits Suitability template available here. And we've got a Positive Solutions branded copy and also an unbranded version as well. So that brings us to the end of the demonstration. I hope you've all found that useful.